I think this one should come with a claustrophobia warning, because the whole movie essentially takes place in an underground tunnel, and a lot of it in a very confined space, so if you're not into that kind of thing, look away. It's also a Danish movie, but it's actually in English, at least like 98% of it. But the whole premise of the movie and the story itself is actually one of the simplest and most straightforward ones I've seen in a long time. I mean, the premise is basically the movie. There's not much else to talk about, especially in regards to the plot, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. And it's basically about this woman, some sort of journalist, photographer type, who's sent down into the new metro tunnels under construction. And she's supposed to interview this multicultural crew that's working on the project. But while she's down there in the tunnels, something goes horribly wrong. And she has to figure out a way to escape, and that is basically the movie. As I said, nothing elaborate here. It's just a very simple and stripped down thriller. I would say it's fairly effective too, especially toward the very end. Things get very, very intense and extremely claustrophobic. Now, from a technical perspective, it's an alright looking movie. Not the best, but okay, and fairly well put together too. The acting's maybe not the greatest, but I wouldn't call it bad either. And toward the end there, the actress who plays the main character clearly pushes herself. It's probably not an easy role to play, and the shooting conditions couldn't have been fantastic. Because I think they actually shot this on location, in the real tunnels. Now technically, I guess a large portion could have been shot on a set. And it would make sense too. But if it was, the production team did a fantastic job, because it looks absolutely authentic. It really looks like they're down there for real, on an actual job site, with all the grit and the dirt. And the tunnel shots had to be shot on site. I don't think they could have built sets like that. Which then brings me to the question of how exactly a movie like this comes to be. Because there's not an extremely large span of time to work with here. You'd have to hear about the tunnel project, come up with this idea, write the script, put the crew together, get the finances in order, get the permission to shoot on an active job site, then actually shoot the thing, edit it and do all the post-production stuff, and then put it out there. Meanwhile, the actual construction is still going on over there. That's a fascinating and strange way to make a movie if you ask me. But I think the end result is okay, although I honestly didn't like it that much. Mainly because I didn't find it very compelling on a deeper emotional level. It didn't really resonate with me that much. Probably because of the simplicity of the story. And the main character too. She was okay but not that fleshed out. There's not a whole lot of depth to her. There's no obvious reason to care about her. Other than the fact that she's a human being in a terrible situation, which is always going to garner some amount of sympathy. But I just found that the movie relied a little bit too much on the intensity, the visceral feel of it, and the feeling of being trapped and trying to get out. That's really the only thing the movie had going for it, to me. And yeah, it does work, but it wasn't enough to really get me invested. And as such, it's just an okay movie. Watchable, but not much more than that. I didn't really get that much out of it, beyond some surface level anxiety toward the end. But would I recommend it? Well, if you hate confined spaces and want to be freaked out, sure. And if you don't want to get freaked out, stay away from this one. And for everyone else, it's pretty safe to skip. Or don't. I'm not your dad. But I am trying to sell out, so consider liking, subbing, hitting that bell and supporting me on Patreon. Because I really need to dig myself an escape tunnel in case of an emergency. And hey, why not drop a comment below or check out another review? I'd appreciate it. Thanks.